Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Well, news from War News 247.gr is that the war in Ukraine, or rather the full invasion of Ukraine, has been postponed a number of times. The current date, according to this article, is February sometime. According to our information, the last time the invasion was postponed to was mid February, it says. The FSB, Federal Security Service of Russia, pushed Gerasimov into invasion. The Russians were confident that they had made adequate preparations because they invested huge resources into it. So it's looking like they're amassing troops, they're amassing weaponry. There seems to be a big announcement coming up from Putin, and that's kind of what we're going to take a look at here. This is again War News 247, Russian media. Important announcement to be made by Putin in the next 24 hours. Now, I haven't seen the news about what this is yet, but the suggestion is that the country will go on complete war footing, complete war economy. Basically declaring, that we are in a war, and now all the country's resources will be going towards that war. That's what I gleaned from it. Putin will make a particularly important announcement at the Defense Ministry next week. According to Russian state media, we are expecting important news. It says it is expected to highlight the need to transform the Russian economy into a war economy as the special military operation in Ukrainian soil continues. And as they move the whole economy, the whole country into a war footing, a war economy, that's going to mean martial law. That's going to mean austerity for everybody in Russia. That's going to mean all resources going towards the war front in terms of creating ammunition, fixing equipment, and supporting the war effort. It's pretty incredible. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, a U.S. Colonel says that the war is all but over. Let me just reload this page here, see if it's going to work. There it is. So this is U.S. Colonel R. Black. Battle loss for Ukrainians. Their losses are massive, and they have seen nothing yet, apparently. And there's news from both sides, but the Western media says Russia's losing lots of people. That may be true, but Ukrainians are apparently losing a lot as well. The battle for the Ukrainians has been lost. The war has already been decided, said U.S. Army Special Forces and Marines Colonel Richard Black in his double intervention. It says Ukrainian troops are being thrown into a death trap in Bakhmut by thousands, and it seems they have no solution. Russia is winning in Bakhmut, Ukraine is losing, and this shows that this is becoming a major strategic development. What does this mean? If the Ukrainians indeed are losing that much, that means the U.S., NATO, Britain will have to really enter the battle and kind of take this over for the Ukrainians if they expect to win a war against Russia. Or, as Kissinger is going in, talking to Putin, Kissinger wants to now negotiate peace. He sees Ukrainians maybe are losing it, that there's no chance unless U.S. wants to go to full open warfare with Russia. And so Henry Kissinger is going in and saying, now's a good time to make peace, as all their support for the Ukrainians is not helping the Ukrainians beat back Russia. And I don't know who ever thought the Ukrainians would be able to, even with all the support in terms of money and weapons from Russia, etc. All this being said, and the wars around the world and the economic conditions, there's a new world order coming. The Bible speaks of it in the last days, where an Antichrist figure is going to implement a mark of the beast system after, I believe, a financial collapse happens, and after we get involved in significant warfare to the point where people are desperate enough to accept a one world leader and a world government and a world economic system. And this is a JPOS article, which I think is interesting. World order on verge of a cliff. First Israeli national intel assessment. It says the world is at a transition point, analogous to being on the verge of a cliff, after which a series of crises striking simultaneously will reorder the planet's geopolitics the place of technology, economic order, and a variety of other disciplines from health to energy, according to Israel's first government national intelligence estimate. That is exactly what the Bible describes. And all, facet change of the world order, including economic, geopolitical, borders, freedoms, governments, world wars. It's all changing. It's all a reorder. It's all happening at the same time, as is famine. All this stuff is happening at the same time. Right now, we are living in it right now. We are going slowly downhill, and this is going to bring in the new world order, but it has to all collapse first. We all have to be absolute desperate, in need of food, in need of everything, and to the point where we give up our national sovereignty. Remember what happened in the book of Genesis with Joseph, where he was given away by his brothers, sold into Egypt, into slavery, and he made his way all the way to the top, second in command under Pharaoh, and in Potiphar's household. And there was a dream that there would be famine in the land, 7 good years and then 7 bad years. And Joseph translated this. He got the word from the Lord to understand what that dream meant, and so he was given the ability to plan then for 7 good years and the 7 bad years, as he was a very wise individual. So what did he do? He stored up for those 7 good years, for those 7 bad years. In those 7 bad years, people were so desperate. There was such great famine in the land that first they gave all their money away for food, and then the famine was still lasting. Remember, it lasts for 7 years. After they spent all their savings, they started giving the Pharaoh and Egypt all their livestock, all their produce, whatever they could, all their jewelry, all their worldly goods. And they got some food for that. And then they came back because the famine was still in the land. And they started selling their land to Egypt, to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh ended up owning pretty much everything from everybody. And it didn't end there. Finally, they were still desperate. They were still without food. And so they sold them. They went into slavery themselves, and basically to survive. That's an exact picture, I believe, of what's going to happen in the last days. We will be so desperate. We will use all our savings. We will sell everything that we have for food. We will be so desperate. We will even sell ourselves into slavery by way of mark of the beast when that does come. And so go read. I believe it's Genesis chapter 37, about Joseph in Egypt, the 7 good years, 7 bad years. Work through what happens to those people, the stages they go through, to where they're so desperate that they've given everything and they've pledged allegiance to basically Pharaoh. They've given their own selves into slavery. They've been worn down. They have nothing left, no wealth left, and all they want is food. And this is exactly where we're going, to where we'll be so desperate all we will have is our own lives to give to the world leader. And that is exactly what is happening and what will happen in these last days, I think. And we're heading there quickly, folks. So go read that story of Joseph in Egypt and the 7 good years, 7 bad years. It's very prophetic. I believe we are at the very end of the 7 good years in that prophecy, and that multiple fulfillment prophecy. Remember, Joseph is a picture of Jesus. A lot of similarities between Joseph and Jesus. And Joseph was the savior of all the people that were starving in Egypt. Likewise, people will sell their souls to the Antichrist when things get so bad in this world. And that's where we're headed, folks. But Jesus will save us. But he's only going to save those who know him personally. Otherwise, he's when he comes back, he's going to say, "I never knew you." If you don't accept him as personal Lord and Savior and accept his death on the cross for your sin, he's going to say, "I never knew you." So, folks, it's going to get hard. All of us preppers, it won't mean anything. I really believe at the end of the day, it's not going to mean anything, because things are going to be so desperate. But at least it will help you hold out for a little while longer. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.